coverage of the TI8 qualifiers by Beyond the Summit and Moonduck. We will be going into game number 2 of SG Esports versus Torus Gaming in just a moment. I'm syndereN. This is Banana Slam Jamma S, aka BSJ. Promo code BSJ. Repping that today on his chest.
Sell out.
A little bit of self out,
Yeah,
as
self
you could
out.
call it.
Yeah.
So we just saw SG winning game number 1. Not the most convincing win ever. Relatively sloppy from both sides, but they got the job done.
Yeah.
We largely attributed it to draft. Game number 2, you talked about how Torus needs to have stronger lanes, and I don't know what much more there was to that game, except, you know, the mid-game movements from both teams were definitely a bit lacking, but Torus also didn't exactly set themselves up for success with their safe laner being this much in struggle city the whole game.
Yeah, when I look at, I kind of mentioned it last game, but when I look at drafts like a Tier 1 Dota, I think like if both teams play perfectly, which draft's going to win? And I think in non-Tier 1 Dota, it's just which team, if both teams make like 3 or 4 errors, which draft's going to win? And that kind of seemed like last game in a nutshell. You know, like both teams definitely had a couple slip-ups here and there, and I think the game plan for SG was just kind of easier and more, like it kind of just played itself out at the end of the day, because like when Torus Gaming tried to take fights, it was just easier for SG to fight. It was just easier. They itemized accordingly. Like I actually think both teams itemized correctly, maybe except for the Bloodseeker as we mentioned.
Yeah.
But like I thought all of SG's builds were quite good, and so they knew how they were supposed to win the game. And then when fights happened, they kind of played themselves out because they had the right items. So even though they did have some map movements that maybe like when he died with the Aegis twice and stuff like that, but at the same time, you know, they did know what the game plan was. You could tell based on the itemization of the heroes. The Monkey King built tanky. The Beastmaster built a bunch of aura and like buffed the Monkey King up items with the Lotus and the Solar, and then just sit behind him and wait for them to go on him. And eventually, we'll just throw all of our ults and the damage is just gonna be too much. That Pugna Ward did do a lot of work.
Yeah, it did.
And you mentioned the TA being out of mana, by the way. I saw that towards the end of the game. I think he was fighting under Pugna Ward. Was what actually happened, because it drained your mana a lot. And I saw there was one fight around the Roche pit that he was losing mana as the fight was happening. And so I think that might have come into play a few times that we may have not noticed.
We got some bans. These are actually the exact same bans as last game, no changes. SG will this time be first pick. I believe that was Torus last game. Was it actually?
No, wait. Yeah, no, Torus had absolute last pick TA. So they were second pick last game.
They first pick Beastmaster again. So actually one of these teams opted to not go first pick. I think that's pretty rare right now.
So you're saying they chose side over first pick? Or they chose second pick?
They probably chose side in
first pick's just so much easier to
draft. I feel like everybody chooses
like.
first pick, so if you don't choose first pick, you must be prioritizing side. Else you're just giving your opponent both.
Yeah.
So
it's really
probably Torus
choice.
choosing
I'd
Radiant.
be curious to see. I'd be curious to see that kind of stuff, because with first pick you get 3 counters, and then with second pick you only get 1. I guess technically 2 because of the second pick, but the 3 core counters are what I notice in the first pick, because you get to see this first hero and then you pick 2 heroes in response. Are they going to do the exact same thing, run it back? I don't think so. I don't think you should, personally, because I think the Warlock's just too good of a pick. I think SG would be very happy with this run back. But if they decide to do this, which they do, obviously, I really hope the third pick is what we see the difference in. Maybe they're watching the cast, you know, maybe they heard about the lanes, you know, from a friend of a TI winner, syndereN, you know.
Oh,
they go for the chin. That got banned out second round last
game.
Got banned out second round last game. So they say, you know, maybe we'll prioritize we'd rather have a different dual aggro support rather than. What do you think? Is Chen a better dual aggro or a better like babysitter?
I think the hero wants to aggress more than anything. But if the way you should probably think about Chen is he is the strongest laning support the whole game when he gets a creep. So you put Chen where he's most needed and most useful for your team.
Okay.
If it's most useful to play aggressive because you don't need him in the safe lane, that's fine. If he's absolutely necessary to enable your safe lane carry to get a game, you do it there. Unless you shutting down the enemy carry hurts them more than it hurts you to have your own carry shut down. So you just look at like what impacts the game plan for both teams the most, and you put Chen there because he'll win. Like there's kind of
it's
nothing
like almost impossible to contest
that
Chen
stops the Chen.
At least in the current meta, it feels like.
Yeah, he is.
They do ban the Mirana, which is like a pretty decent core for dealing with the Chen creeps.
Yep.
You can even just like arrow the big camp and then just like leave the small creep there.
We got a Dragon Knight ban again from Torus. They banned that last game as well. So last time SG banned Lifestealer in this phase against Benjes, it looks like this time around he might actually be getting it because
I
they
feel
feel
like
like
you have to leave Lifestealer if you have Beastmaster Chen.
yeah, it's like why would you be worried?
I understand if the team has like signature heroes, but if that hero is just flat out terrible against what you have, I feel like that might be overreacting.
Yeah.
I would understand if they ban it, but at the same time, I really don't think you should unless you just think you can't deal with it in like the game plan. But
Yeah.
like you already have the Beastmaster. Like if they get, they're not going to give them like a perfect absolute last pick or something. So they ban the TA.
This to me looks like this is a concept that I really like. I call it a free ban, and you can have it in both phase 1 and 2. I call it a free ban because it's like there's nothing here that we feel like we have to ban now, so you can invest.
Okay.
So for example, in previous patches, there was a time when everybody would last pick Brood. So
Yeah.
like the last phase, you banned Brood.
Okay.
And that means if there's any point during the draft where you feel like you have a ban open, you
Yeah.
could ban Brood then as an investment, so that you could
Yes.
last phase ban something else than Brood.
Because
You weren't
sometimes
like,
if
we
you
have
want
to ban
yeah.
Brood, you know?
Because sometimes when you want to last pick something, like say like 9th pick something, you have to have like 2 heroes you want banned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And
so
that
like,
just sucks.
Yeah.
So
So if you ban it now, it does set you up. It makes me think they're gonna pick something like a Lina, or like
For example.
or like a Zeus, something that loses mid lane really hard to TA.
Yep. That's a good call.
That they would want 4th pick. I think that's what they're going to lean towards because Zeus is naturally really good against the acts like Blink Dagger Initiation, and then Lina also because of the Yule Scepter and benefits a lot from the Beastmaster pickoff. So I'm curious to see if they end up doing something like that. They do take the Warlock again. I don't see why you wouldn't. But I do like Torus Gaming's 2nd pick. Or like,
Actually.
I like the Witch Doctor better though than the Disruptor last game.
This is pretty funny when you look at how this happened. So last game they went Beastmaster Warlock and Chen got banned.
Yeah.
This time we're just like, oh, we'll just go Beastmaster Chen. And then they didn't ban
Yeah.
Warlock. So they kind of got what they wanted last game by just picking them in opposite order.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have a similar situation again where SG's lineup is just way stronger in 5-man pushing and taking objectives, and the Torus Gaming lineup needs to be able to get out of lanes well. It's just getting out of lanes well against Chen is tough. You gotta really make sure that this Witch Doctor is on point with his casks, that he's in the right lane, that he's in the right place, and even then, you can't kill the Chen creep. Like, you can cask it for 5 seconds. If he comes there with a big Satyr, what carry wants to be in that lane?
I
You
feel
wanna
like you
evacuate
have
him.
to dodge the lane.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that right now. I do not think you can put your carry top. There's no carry that's going to survive it, I don't believe, with just a Witch Doctor. And then, like, the only way you can't survive maybe bringing Sky, but he doesn't really do much to Chen either. And it's like...
They have 2 supports that are both good against Skywrath in lane.
Yeah.
That's like the nightmare Sky scenario, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm not feeling it right now from Torus. I feel like this is not the adjustment they needed, but let's see if they can at least get Benjes off to a better start. I'm just glad I'm not Torus right now.
Yeah.
Like, what carry do you pick in this slot? Against Beastmaster Chen, you have a Witch Doctor, and dodging feels difficult because there's a Warlock in that lane, plus a carry of their choice that you don't even know yet. Like, you don't have the information
I'm begging
to really...
them, like, from a carry player's perspective, please dodge that lane. Like, put the axe there. He's not going to, like, win, but he's not going to lose.
What do you think about last picking the carry this game and getting a flexible mid? Like, some mid now that doesn't
I was
have
going
an
to say, like,
alpha matchup.
a hero that just, like, doesn't lose the lane.
Pick Lina now that TA's banned, you know?
Yeah,
And
I would actually be
and
down
last
for
pick your
that.
carry. I think
Lena's a little scary to play against Beastmaster overall, but at the same time, like, I don't think you can choose your carry and win this game here. And there's actually a decent amount of carries in the pool that could offlane, such as like Peel and Slark, that could be like potentially very good for the game. Like, so if you see their last 2 picks from SG and then pick the carry, it could be like a very good pick.
Yeah. Not too big on the Slark myself, but there's definitely options. They will go.
That's kind of a flex pick, but
I don't know about
I mean,
this.
in my opinion, that Monkey King is going to get obliterated if he goes side lanes. You're going to pick a safe laner that is not countered by Monkey King. I think like Luna, for instance, or something like that. That's just like kind of a ranged hero.
Please pick Venno.
Venno would be great. Yes.
Venno is so sick this game. He
Venno is
like
very
the
good.
Pick, I think.
I completely agree with that one, actually.
He ruins Monkey King in lane. He gives vision. He can counter Axis Blink by having Plague Wards when you're pushing. He can zone control for Roshan. And it's a hero you just don't really like dodging into. Like if you dodge into a Veno Warlock lane, you're gonna have a hard time. Like who's even gonna stand down there? We're gonna put there your Skywrath Monkey King? No way, man.
Make
There's
your
no way you
safe
win
lane
that.
unapproachable on SG because this Monkey King is not gonna be able to lane against Chen Beastmaster. So if you just make it so he can't lane against your safe lane either, it's just man.
It doesn't sound like a cost to build hero though. That's the thing. Like he doesn't seem like
true.
a Venomancer player. So maybe if they just stick to their
That's
recipe.
why I kind of said Luna.
Yeah.
It's like not as good at that exact purpose, but it kind of similar.
Fine. Luna's fine too. I don't see why not. They also ran it with Beastmaster. I think that's a really great pick as well. And I do believe they will end up on that. I love Venomancer in this kind of situations, but I think, again, it's more important you stay in line with what your team knows how to play and what you're comfortable on. And Luna is definitely one of Costable's best heroes, so I think we'll see it grabbed here. Or a Lifestealer. Okay. Different approach. That is actually a matchup that Monkey King can win. And
I don't like that pick.
A hero that Axe can also do well against. I cannot come up with a good argument for why this hero was picked.
I love Lifestealer as much as the next guy because like he's actually one of my favorite heroes, but I don't like that pick.
No, I don't think this was necessary at all. I think it's making. It's like putting an anchor on their laning. They could have just easily sailed through lanes, and now there's like this guy pulling you back, basically.
You just give Monkey King a matchup that he wants. That's what I feel like when they pick this Monkey King hero, he's heavily reliant, as you mentioned in the previous game, about like having a decent start. And I feel like if you just pick 3 lanes that he can't lane against, he has no game. He's not going to be a hero.
I agree.
In the game of Dota 2. So it's just not a fan of that. I think any like ranged hero or any I don't think there's really any melee hero that does okay against Monkey King. I think any ranged hero would have been good. And like yeah, I mean we'll see.
I'm also conceptually not the biggest fan of the type of lane that Warlock Lifestealer is. It's like you have a guy who sustains himself and you have a guy who helps him sustain, but he doesn't need it. Like you don't actually. Lifestealer will have very specific games where he needs a Warlock to stay in lane, and this is like it's kind of looking at it the wrong way around because they picked them in opposite order and they already had the information. It was just like, oh, maybe we can get away with Lifestealer because he has a hard matchup, so this game we need a Warlock. Well, how about just picking another hero that doesn't need the help, you know? So, well, we'll see how it goes. I like this last pick, though. Kunkka's great this game.
Gives Monkey King like another lane he could potentially go to, though. So I'm just saying it gives them like more options for this overall last pick. They could pick a carry or mid.
It does, but I think putting Monkey King mid in this game is very dangerous. I think Kunkka Chen has very good kill potential on Monkey King in mid lane. That's the one lane where he can't use Primal Spring very well. X-Mark into Torrent with Chen creeps generally nets a kill. So I think it's fine, and I like it from their lineup's perspective. It's like they have 2 ways of initiating. We are going to see the Lina last pick. They can start with X-Mark, or they can start with Roar, force the fight to happen, enemy team responds, you Golem, and you Chen heal, and you just run into them and fight. I think that's totally fine for them. And again, comfort hero, Adriano on the Kunkka, very solid. And now they know that it's going to be a Lina matchup mid, so have to assume that based on what Torus did last game, I think they're just going to put default lanes, and I think it's the wrong choice, but we'll see. I think you definitely want Monkey King against Lifestealer this game, not against Beastmaster Chen.
I feel like even if I'm Monkey King, I'd rather be against whatever lane I'm against in the safe lane, like or in the opponent's safe lane. I'd rather be off lane because you can actually just block the big camp, and then the Chen doesn't actually have a camp to go to. If you safe lane it and you block your own big camp, he can still retreat to the triangle area.
The distance is a lot shorter.
Yeah. So I feel like it's much easier to protect your carry by blocking the big camp in the off lane, which is top for them. I always get a little turned around when I see the drafts, but I personally would dodge because the Axe should be fine there, right? Like I imagine Axe against Beastmaster Chen would be okay.
It's rough, but
like you're not going to do like it's not great, but
it's rough for anyone.
It's way better for you than it is for the Monkey King, is how I look at it, at least.
Yes. You can deal better with getting shut down a little bit in lane, so I would definitely agree with that. We have a little bit of a switch of camera, guys, so a quick shout-out. We had... I requested this because I think if I do camera work, people are going to be super Gnostic because, yeah, players will generally be moving the camera around in a very jerky way, and we're just quickly looking at a lot of different things at once. So last game we did have Blaze on camera, and this time we've got Lyrical taking over, so big thanks to them for helping out with...
It looks like they are planning on putting Monkey King top, which I like a lot. Axe is bottom. Try not to show Axe. You don't want them to know the lanes. Hide in the trees. It's actually really important that you don't show lanes. It looks like they did not see him, so he did manage to sneak his way into the trees.
Yep.
And Because even if they have the suspicion that you're doing this, it helps a lot to have that doubt in their mind.
Yes.
And it looks like Dire might have blocked their own big camp top. Yeah, they did. It's odd. Maybe they expected the Axe top, or... So Lifestealer is top. I'm... The way I look at this is I feel like Monkey King has to dodge. So if I was SG, I would also dodge. But
yes, it's always that kind of rock paper scissors thing. We think they think we think, so we're gonna do this, and then sometimes you're just wrong. You know.
Yeah.
You can't guess right every time. Then it's about how well you adjust. The upside of this ward that they placed up here, which I honestly don't understand why they blocked this camp, but peace be with that, they did it. Is that this ward did see the movement of the supports of the Radiant, so the Dire have a little bit of a time advantage there. Or actually, the Radiant. Let me see. Yeah, only the Dire placed wards. So the Dire knows way more than the Radiant does right now.
Why didn't they place any wards? I feel like that's just such a...
Is
the Witch Doctor going to get scouted out? He is. They see him.
So they've seen Witch Doctor Skywrath up here earlier. They're going to have to
they know the ward's right there.
Ward under a ward. This is a great start for SG. They got all of the info and all of the lanes that they wanted. Or actually, they're going to just commit to having this Lifestealer against the Monkey King.
You saw them like kind of deciding to, like debating whether or not they'd do it, but they ended up choosing to keep it as is.
Yeah. It's not like Lifestealer's other lane is great either. He would be laning against an Axe then. That's also not fantastic. But this, we'll see how it goes for SG. At least they got information. They got to make an educated decision on what to do. Good cask here from KZ. A lot of harassment onto StanKing. But guess what? Press that heal and get to work.
Yeah, when I played with StanKing, he put a lot of emphasis on making sure you got the right lane matchups, or like at least the setup with the wards. So that really came into play here. We noticed that it seems like SG's way more on point about the wards and setup than Torus is. Even though Torus got the Monkey King in the right lane, it just feels like they weren't on top of it as much. And we're seeing that this Monkey King is going to have a much better game top than he would have bottom. And that's coming into play. This Lifestealer only has 1 CS. Obviously, he's going to get a wave pushed into his tower almost, but I can tell you Lifestealer's 0 base armor against Monkey King as a melee hero does not feel good.
Sure ain't the greatest.
And he got the Sentry on StanKing, so he's going to get that D ward. Thinks it's blocking the camp, but he's like, oh, it's not even in the camp. But mid lane should be like kind of even. The Lina always goes for the level 1 stun because she's against a melee hero. And using that just to secure some CS, harassing 40R, forcing him to salve. Goes for the blind torrent, but misses.
This kind of lane is pretty interesting in the sense that Kunkka has a good way of getting CS, but he needs to spend more gold than Lina on regen, I feel. He's going to end up having to use, even if they have even CS, Lina should be pulling her head on net worth because Kunkka has to buy multiple salves to just stand against the consistent harassment of Lina. And you could say it's the same with Tidebringer, but I'm pretty sure the amounts, especially in the lower levels, are definitely favoring Lina here in terms of just overall harassment.
Absolutely, and I think this Chen has a heavy weight on his shoulders in like the early to mid game because Lina and Monkey King are quite vulnerable to dying to Chen ganks for a while, actually, because both of them usually will either show in lane or they'll be jungling and their items don't, until maybe about 12 minutes into the game, those heroes just die to Chen gank if they get caught out of position. So as this game goes on, I definitely think we should be looking out for Chen. But top lane, we have quite an exchange, but looks like both teams are just going to back off. Does get the Jingu because he uses his stun.
This is a pretty unlikely lane to get a kill in, actually, for now. The top lane, both teams will not get kills, but the Radiant's just going to win on farm. Like, they have a Lifestealer against Monkey King Witch Doctor.
Yeah, he's already doubled up on CS right now.
Yeah. And what's happening on the other side of the map? So if that trade is happening, that's for the Dire, it's probably pretty important that Chen has a good time bottom.
Axe is actually just going to get this extra CS, yeah.
He's been pretty unlucky. He got 2 troll creeps in a row. That's not the creep you want against Axe.
Is he going to die here?
Oh, he might actually
Has
die.
Mango for... Oh, there he goes.
Oh, okay,
you have the axes.
Got the troll creep. That's a trade-off.
But that's a...
Oh, sticks!
The send home.
He's fine. Nice one.
That's the value of Chen, man. It's so broken. Be able to just get your free trip back to base.
Yay! Now we got to pause. So, Chen, as mentioned, got 2 troll creeps, not exactly the ideal one. Now he's going to get a centaur. I think he would love to have the big satyr in this lane. Like, you just force away the Skywrath and nuke him a couple of times. He starts the game without any regen. He only has a clarity. If you would have just sat on him from the beginning, he would have had a really hard time with even playing.
You can't win a lane against the satyr creep.
No, you just can't. But the good news for the Radiant is that they're just getting great farm. Monkey King is destroying top. Axe has 20 CS against a Chen lane. That's super good. Lina is breaking even with Kunkka. I think maybe if Lina was playing this a bit sharper, could be ahead right now by a little bit. But
the way I look at that kill, though, is even though they got away with it, it doesn't... The way I always look at kills in the laning stage is, does it change who's CSing like the lane dynamic? You know what I mean? And I don't feel like it actually changes anything. Obviously, it's nice to get a kill at all times, like especially the first blood giving a bit of bonus, but the action's just going to come right back. He has a ring of health now, and
the kill went to Chen.
And the kill went to Chen. So, like, a kill, I think Kyle said it best, it's like 5 CS, maybe 4 CS at this stage in the game.
In terms of gold.
In terms of gold. And not even XP. And he's already beating the Beastmaster by 8 CS at this stage. And so it's one of those things where that brings the lane almost even. And now the one saving grace for them is that usually when you go for a kill like that, the Beastmaster is going to have like expended all of his mana and health. But the send back will be nice for them. But the fact that Axe just comes right back and continues on his merry way. So far, you know, I do favor the fact that the Torus lane setups are way better for me.
This is something that I think a lot of players don't think about, especially pub players, but even competitive players. I'm not sure how familiar people are with the scaling of experience for hero kills. Basically, if you're 2 heroes, both level 1, killing a level 1 hero in lane, he gets the same experience as 1 melee creep. Both heroes get 30 experience for that kill.
Ouch.
It's nothing. So if you imagine a situation where you could choose to deny 3 creeps and then die as a hero, it's like an even trade almost in the beginning. They get the first blood gold. That's like the only factor that actually makes it worth it, because else you're just trading a bit of experience for a bit of gold. Bottom lane, we're gonna go into Vasiloko here with both the Chen creeps, but he doesn't have the creep he wants. Now he finally got a Satyr, but now he doesn't have a troll anymore. Net setup here would have been nice for this one instance kill with the Centaur creep. Doesn't matter, or it doesn't manage rather. And
it looks
top
like
lane.
It's mid lane too.
Oh
they
yeah,
have the Skywrath Mage roam, and it looks like a 40R might go down.
Oh, he misses!
Oh my god, that's reality. That's life sometimes. But top lane, they do get the Warlock kill, and quite a fortunate escape for the Kunkka, also salving up. So, but he doesn't exactly feel good. As you mentioned, he's going to spend a lot of gold on regen. He's opting to not go for any more salves or clarities. He's trying to save it for that bottle, which is quite important. Runes are coming out, so top lane, we're seeing Kosa Bile actually zoning out both supports in order to get that rune. So it looks like 3 runes will go to the Dire. But either way, I mean, quite fortunate that 40R got away from that.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to go to base. He gets his bottle flown out, and there's a bounty rune and a shrine. So he'll be back to full regen in no time. One of the benefits of Kunkka, of course, in these mid matchups is the ability to X-Mark TP Fountain and just refill. So he has that. Okay, did you not want the bounty rune or what? Are you just going to leave it here? Interesting. Okay, he's going back to the mid lane.
Investing it for later. I think maybe he's leaving it for the Kunkka?
Well, Kunkka himself was just at the shrine and didn't take the rune. He just went to mid. I don't know.
I thought you were talking about Chen. I have no idea what.
Yeah, he left it on purpose. I was like, oh, nice. He's leaving it for Kunkka. He has a bottle coming, but Kunkka didn't even go for the rune. So maybe miscommunication. Maybe they're expecting it to just stay safe there for a while and then he can go for it later.
Investing in the 2 extra gold per minute.
That is also a factor. Very little one, but everything matters. What matters more, though, is that you picked Lifestealer into a losing lane.
Yeah.
That matters a lot right now.
That is still boggles my mind.
Yeah, that's been the worst pick we've seen today, from my perspective. Like, I just flat out completely disagree with that. Just, oh, they're going to go in on stanking here. Cask, as well as the concussive shot, and will proc the Jingu attacks here. For Ben, Jesse's going to run onto the lifesteal. This could be a 2 for almost. Needs a little bit more, but still doing great in this top lane, the Radiant.
Yeah,
Bottom lane, got some more action. Loco gets a call into Liposa. Really lucky getting 2 spins off a siege creep only almost. But still, Kunkka is there to save the day. Ship comes in. They're going to try to chase down F-League. Good stun in from Witch Doctor from the side. And good disconnect from the Dire. They've had enough. That's a triple rage crit from a Chen kill value.
Oh
4 Lifestealers had enough too.
Yeah, they're out. Flea's done it. He's officially fed them into tilt. But no, I'm kidding. But I don't know, man. This whole play, like last game, we saw how Torus responded to this like safe lane aggression that SG was putting on. And like last game, it was an Axe trying to help a Bloodseeker who's having a rough game, and then the Axe has to walk all the way back top. Instead, this time, it's a Monkey King who's free farming top while this is going on, right? So this whole like net exchange is absolutely in favor of Torus Gaming here because of the fact that the mid laner from SG had to come bottom, which just like they did in the previous game, but now instead you have a carry free farming rather than an off laner being forced to walk all the way back. And so it's one of those things where last game, after the exchange bottom, you had to spend like 2 minutes getting back to where you wanted to be on Torus. In this game, it's just going to be Axe respawning in 10 seconds, TPing back into bottom, and everything's back to where it was. And that's just, I mean, all of these like snowball effects of pressure as well as who's having to put more resources into the same thing is because of these lane matchup picks. Like, you're not happy leaving Lifestealer alone anymore, which means they're happy leaving Monkey King alone, and it just makes everything better for Torus. So, I mean, I don't want to keep harping on the same pick. It just makes it so awkward for them. Like, if you have this, like, level 5 Veno or something top, that Monkey King can't lane without a support.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
If you have a level 2 Veno Warlock, you can actually pressure Monkey King out of lane. Witch Doctor will be forced to skill heal.
I'm just saying at this stage in the game, I hope you wouldn't be level 2.
Yeah, well, sure. Okay, a level 2 Veno now would probably not force Monkey King out of lane.
Fair enough.
Oh, they're gonna X mark, get a free refill, and the cask actually followed him to base, but Beastmaster gonna come back down here. Yep, that's awkward. Well, he still didn't get called, just barely not able to connect there with Axe. And now the cask hits him. It flew all the way toward the base, and then it followed him back because of the X mark.
That's funny.
Never reached him until he got back in lane. But
would have been even better if it like set up the call somehow.
Yeah, that would have been something.
That would have been something.
Well, he ends up having to. That was kind of counterproductive. He ends up having to buy a flask anyway, because he took damage when he came back to lane. They wanted to refill him, but didn't really help at all.
It just feels so bad on SG's part that you have to put 2 heroes top just to like go even. I don't even know if you go even. He is being very careful on the Monkey King because he doesn't know where Chen is, and I like that play a lot. Like, if the only way that this lane goes badly top for Benjaz is if he dies to Chen Gank. So he's waiting to see where F. Lee is going to show.
And has a 2-level advantage on the Lifestealer as Monkey King. 25 denies.
The minute this Chen shows mid, which he just did, this Monkey King's going to go right back into lane, as you see here. And I like that play by Benjaz. Nice safe play. Important at this stage in the game. But Chen's actually smoking.
I'd way rather see them play aggressively top and just keep the Witch Doctor here as a safety net. I think having to...
Which looks like they're doing,
having to give Lifestealer a bit of space is bad. Like, keep running him over. This hero doesn't play very well from behind, and they can keep destroying him in lane with the right moves from Witch Doctor, or just good positioning. What they're doing now is an aggressive play instead of like the 2. Like, get in, try to grab the kill.
I think they're going to get this, though, because he's probably going to stun into... on the Monkey King, he's probably going to stun into Skywrath Mage Silence.
It's level 2 stun. It's 0.8 seconds.
It might be enough based on smoke. Smoke breaks are what, 1,000?
Yeah, something like that. It's pretty narrow, though. 1,025. It's just, even if you get the stun into Silence, you actually kill him. Like, you get the Silence off, and he just runs. The cask has to reach in the creep wave.
It is level 2 Rage. It could be level 3 if he decides to level it.
He can just Rage TP out if he wants, also. But I think that's also a great play for Radiant if they force a Rage TP out.
That's acceptable result, I believe, yeah.
That's fine.
Because the Lifestealer is going to have to come back.
Let's see what he does. He's going to go to the creep wave. Oh, the smoke broken Witch Doctor. There you go. Stun. Oh. He's not in range to Silence. He's not going to. Alright, well, they're trying. Trying their damnedest, but not even close.
Either way, though, as long as Monkey King's not dying, I think this is still okay. Obviously, it could have gone better, but the fact that I like that you said that they bring the supports top just to say, hey, keep pressuring this Lifestealer. Monkey King's 2 levels ahead of him. Axe is perfectly fine on his own. He's also even leveled with the Beastmaster. Almost has the Vanguard on Axe, which means Beastmaster will have virtually no kill potential on him. Lena's just free farming mid.
Oh, that was a kill on cost.
And they somehow killed that, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to go on the Warlock as well. This is a double kill. This laning stage is quite the disaster for the Dire. And, well, we've said it a couple of times, but they honestly just brought it upon themselves. They chose this.
They didn't, like, pick Lifestealer and then get countered.
Nope.
They willingly picked this matchup.
So that means in order to get this game back on track, they need to get some work done with Kunkka and Beastmaster. This is basically an off-lane Lifestealer at this point who needs to catch up. He's queued up a Radiance. Can't wait for him to get that minute 35 at this rate, so you gotta...
I mean, they have to wait, though, you know?
Yeah. It was more of a I can't wait.
I'm just kidding. I knew what you meant.
What are you gonna do, right? Like,
yeah, like it's something where you know you don't. This is very similar to last game where Costabile is just not going to be a hero for a long time. The only difference is, like, Monkey King can at least independently split push, while Lifestealer cannot. So...
Oh, the Kunkka combo failed. The Lina stun. Level 3 stun on Lina.
Spinning like crazy. Can get the dunk if he gets in range. Does, but manages to get the cleanup kill with the Tidebringer. And Skywrath Mage TP's in. Stanking's in some trouble. Maledicted up should go down at that. Lina's getting chased away by the Centaur. Has the Shrine use available. Does end up using it. The Fatal Bond's not quite enough to bring him down because of it. And overall, it's a 2-for-1 exchange. But meanwhile, Monkey King absolutely free farming. Costabile has rotated bottom. Level 5 Lifestealer ready to go. Treads up, even a Mango to boot. And I don't know, 10-minute bounty runes are out.
This is a really unusual Lina skill build, I would say, in this patch. I see most players go 4-1-4. I think a lot of the time it's better. In this instance, it actually saved his life. He
Bottom
stunned
lane
the
rock.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a kill on the axe for sure. Witch Doctor might actually live here.
The heal is insanely
All the chain
good.
lightning. Oh, they both.
If that golem gets a hit
Axe
off,
is dead for sure. But
he's
can
got
Witch
this.
Doctor
He's
get
got
away?
this.
Oh, give the kill to Lifestealer. Oh, he took it with the golem. No, man, that was the comeback. That was the comeback for Costabile. He can't be happy with that. And Witch Doctor does good.
But they do get the 2 kills, and that's like the classic overreaction to trying to defend the safe lane. But meanwhile, mid lane.
Lina died to Kunkka and a bit of help from
And
Beastmaster.
the Beastmaster, yeah. The Beastmaster is very potent against Lina in the mid game.
Yep.
Until you get like Shadowblade Yule's BKB, you pretty much just die to Beastmaster.
I wonder, so what happened bottom with Lina? I wonder if that's the reason he's skilled like this. I don't think so, but Kunkka was trying to X-mark him into Ghost Ship, and Lina stunned the Kunkka. And it actually took so long that the ship missed before he could pull her back because
the
the stun
duration.
Bit of a special case. I was like, oh, he's in trouble. And then, wow, he was stunned for so long, the ship actually didn't connect.
I always forget that scales in duration. I don't even think about it as damage for clearing creep waves, because that's what I'm doing 95% of the games I'm playing.
Yeah. Well, that's... awesome.
I mean, I'm in A. You know?
Honestly, that's the main thing you use the spell for.
Yeah. But Axe's bottom, they're just playing the defense mode game. Buddy gets X'd up again into the Torrent combo, and Buddy silenced on the Skywrath Mage to prevent. And I don't know, this Lifestealer's here, and if I'm Lifestealer, I say, stop playing around me, guys. Please, like, stop coming to my lane. We don't really do anything here. But top lane, meanwhile, Beastmaster is, and I feel like they should be playing around the other hero. I don't think Beastmaster and Lifestealer should be, like, Lifestealer should be by himself just chilling, while Beastmaster's looking for like a +1 for kills. I feel like they're distributing the map a little bit oddly this game.
This is a concept that I really like, which is, it's very simple, but when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Play around your strong hero. Like, if you play around your weak hero, sure, you're protecting him, but you're not pressuring anything, because this Lifestealer is not a threat. So if you keep supports down there, you're essentially spending 3 heroes on farming a guy.
And
instead,
then your strong heroes on the other side of the map dying.
And they can't make plays because they don't have support with them. So instead, if you play around your Kunkka or around your Beastmaster, you're pressuring the opponent. If you make the move first, they have to react, and that frees up your Lifestealer just as much as your protective play would have done.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you're just winning twice as hard by making those moves.
Yep.
If they just play with this Lifestealer bottom lane, the map's going to fall apart. Like, it's not a play. You got to use your strong heroes, make moves together.
I agree.
And there's multiple ways of doing it. Beastmaster could be getting a Shadow Blade that looks like is on the docket for him. You can play with the Kunkka, who is level 3 X mark. Very easy kill setups. Bring him into smokes. Just get something done that ultimately gets you towers.
So they are smoking up towards mid. It looks like they do have Golem up in 3 seconds. Axe still just farming bottom for his Blink Dagger, about 800 gold off. Slated maybe in a bit of trouble here. Is not under dire vision just yet. That is a Radiant Ward, so they will be wrapping around. They have the Hawk to see
they're
anything.
being pinged like crazy, though.
Looks like they know this is happening. They do get a ward behind tower, though.
Beastmaster might run into them.
Oh,
Quick silence.
Good reaction. And they're going to get the... Oh, they missed the stun on the Lina. Oh. And the boat Torrent combo onto the Lina, and he's just going to die almost instantly. It looks like, yep, he gets the Laguna Blade off on the boated Kunkka, who's just going to get sent back to base. Monkey King's in here for the action. All the abilities have been used on the side of the Dire, so he's not afraid of anything, and he's just going to take down the Warlock. Overall, though, I don't think that's not that bad for Torus because of all the ults used.
It's not, but at the same time, that was a 4 and 5, right? Lifestealer is just getting space, so the
That is
Dire
true.
are doing the right thing. They're creating space for Lifestealer by playing aggressively. I think the execution there was just not that great from SG. I think they could have got a better fight out of that. The Beastmaster runs in and gets silenced. That's a good play from Torus, but then the send back from Chen onto the Kunkka, I think they could have maybe got something done with an additional X-Mark Torrent combo. I don't really think they were that unfavored with that fight continuing under Ghost Ship, but, you know, That's one of the things about Chen. Like, you commit that send back. So you've made your choice. Cookie can be like, no, please, and X-mark himself, and then get pulled back into the fight. But you don't really, then you don't have X-mark when you come back. So that's just a disengage. It's okay, though. Lifestealer got space.
Get the bounty. Nice. Worth.
Oh, if he gets this kill. Lifestealer's really weak right now. Infest is not enough damage, and KZ with a level 2 heal will actually be the saving grace here. Sladen. No roar already.
We've already seen it come into play a couple times, and I think the Witch Doctor, one thing I love about him against Warlock is the Fatal Bonds, you heal it off, and I think that's why he went for the second point. Like, you just AoE heal your entire team as they're, like, sharing damage.
Or maybe he just wanted the 3-2-2 build.
I can't argue with that logic.
Nope.
I really can't.
You love that 3-2-2 build.
I do. Talked about it last game, and it's coming into play here.
I'm a pretty big fan of playing Witch Doctor with low-level Maledict this patch, actually. I think the way fights often go, the Voodoo Restoration against some lineups is extremely powerful.
Any of these spread damage lineups.
Yeah, maybe you just get, you know, like level 4 Maledict is obviously crazy for getting specific hero kills, but it's very setup specific. You need to be in range to cast it, so low cast range it needs to hit. The heal is just very flexible to use. The cask is obviously a great and easy spell to cast and have situations for in fights. Maybe a level 2 Maledict, like he has now, is fine, and then you can prioritize the other skills a bit more. I kind of like that that approach.
And looks like Lina has an Arcane Rune bottled up. Overall, though, I just think the game plan's going to be better for Torus. That's how I kind of view this game. Like, I feel like the way that Monkey King plays when he builds his Battle Fury is he wants to be passive for a little while, and that's perfectly reciprocated by this Lifestealer who's rushing at Radiance. Like, they're not going to be able to do anything on SG until this Lifestealer comes online. They are going to try to, like, make moves, but they can't really take a ton of objectives. Like, they've only taken one tower with the Beastmaster Chen lineup, and they do, I mean, they're going to play around Golem every time they have it. And it looks like they might find, both teams smoked up. Can get the call on 2 if he takes it, but looks like maybe Blink was on cooldown or something because he chose not to blink. Sladen gets the silence off, elects to roar the axe and the Golem onto 3, but the Fatal Bonds is being healed off by the Witch Doctor, who gets the 2-man cast, goes down himself, but can they capitalize? Gets the X combo onto the Lina, who stuns him up but doesn't cancel the combination, and he looks like he's going to go down as well. And I feel like Axe was just too hesitant there to initiate. He could have just gotten 2 heroes.
This is some scrappy stuff from the Radiant. Like it almost looks like they respect their opponent too much. I think they should feel strong right now.
If I'm looking at this game, I don't care where Lifestealer is. Like, in terms of the fight, you know what I mean? Like, even if he's infested in that Beastmaster, I don't care. So, like, if I see a Beastmaster, I'm going. That's how I think about it, even if I get Golem, especially if you see the Warlock Beastmaster.
And the guy who was with him was the Skywrath, right? So you just blink call and Skywrath ult and you get a kill, and then you see from there. I would have understood it a bit better if his partner was Witch Doctor, because then you don't have the burst available. But if Skywrath is next to you and you see a chance, I think you go. You're next to your own shrine. People can TP in super easily. That was such a dangerous play from SG to even go for a play there.
Walk up the high ground,
and they actually didn't even get punished. They got rewarded for a really high risk play, honestly. That's just what it was. Haste gonna get taken here by Vato Loco. He does get the call out. Cask will follow, only bounce once. He's gonna be fine. He's getting sent home by Chen. Beastmaster coming in for the roar, will get it. He's gonna go on the other guy.
On the 2 supports. And gets the dunk onto the Warlock, but that's just a 1-for-1 trade. Yules is up the Beastmaster. They want to run away. Does not have the Yules on Lina now, though. Gets the open wounds, only level 1, but doesn't matter if he gets it off in melee range. Axe call onto 3, but the boat to mitigate the damage as well as stun up the Axe, and suddenly, I mean,
SG pulling it back, but
just playing better Dota.
Exactly, that's basically it. It's like, I was gonna say this like 2 minutes ago. I was looking at the gold and we were talking like, this looks good for the Radiant, they have great farm, they got the lanes they wanted and everything, but it just feels like when you look at the teams play, SG is just the level above when it comes to making team movements and just making the right decisions in the game, apart from this really odd Lifestealer pick. They've just been looking that bit better at everything, better at disconnecting.
Yeah, they have, I mean, the DC count I think is like 14-0 right now.
They are winning the disconnect war.
It. I mean, it's not even contest right now.
They've been playing competitive Dota for a long time in SA, so obviously they've had more time to, you know, build up that experience of what it's truly like to disconnect simultaneously.
Yes.
So they're like, I bet
synchronization.
They probably have some sort of like other teams time Roshan. They time their next disconnect, and then they look at the in-game time and everyone just does it at the same time. It's now.
Yep.
Let's DC.
Yep.
And it's a great way to get your opponent frustrated.
I'm not going to lie. When I'm playing, when it pauses and it comes back to the game, I'm like, wait, what's happening? Like, wait, what is happening in this game? I feel like on Dota, for instance, a long cooldown ultimate or something, you have this, like, feel of when it's going to be up again. Yeah, you try to record the time. Yeah, you know exactly when. But it's like you take a fight and you're like, okay, it's been about a minute and a half since Warlock Golem. Like, he's going to have it. They're going to probably make a new move in the next minute and a half, minute or two. And now it's like, wait, when was it used? When was the last fight? Like, I know it was like 5 minutes ago in real time, but how long ago was that in game?
Yeah. The Radiant were getting ready. Okay, what do we do now? What's our next move? And it's like you freeze the kicker during a field goal. That's basically what's happening right now.
Yes, exactly.
Now they're coming back and they're like, oh, should we do it? Should we not? They start doubting themselves. They're not sure.
Yeah. And this Lifestealer is just back in the game.
To
I mean, he's not back in the game in terms of DC. He is still DC. But
he's also back. He's back in the game in both ways.
Yes, yes.
Well, he's not actually back.
No,
right.
his teammates are back, but he's gonna be back.
My bad.
Oh, we got a Chipotle order we gotta take care of.
Yeah, this is actually a great time for us to request lunch.
Yes.
What should I get? What's good at Chipotle?
Have you ever had Chipotle?
I've had it before.
Are you like a steak, chicken guy?
I like meat.
You like meat.
Yeah.
Well, I usually go for their chicken. So I go like white rice, like black beans chicken.
But you're getting a wrap, right? They have other things too, right? They have a box or something?
You get a burrito or a bowl. It's always the same thing. It's just one has a tortilla and the other one
bowl.
doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So I usually get the bowl because I usually can't finish the wrap or the burrito because it has like the tortilla itself is like half the calories.
Yeah, it's a lot of bread.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So what should I write for you? You want one bowl?
I'm gonna get a bowl.
Actually, we'll write 2 bowls.
Okay, nice. And then for me, I'm gonna do the white rice, black beans, and what was I saying? Chicken.
So what options are there?
So it's white or brown rice,
Okay.
and then black or pinto beans, and then for meat, there's chicken, steak. There's like a vegan option, but
This is it for you?
Yeah. No, sorry. And then mild and guac. And that's it. Nice.
Okay.
So,
You like my handwriting?
Yeah, you actually have very nice handwriting.
I write good capital letters. People don't like my lowercase ones.
You got to do you got to stick with what you're good at.
I'm just writing this so I'm sure they can read it. Okay, so what did you recommend for me?
So I usually do the white rice.
I'll get white rice.
Are you a black or pinto bean kind of guy?
I'd actually get no beans.
Okay, that's fine.
think.
I think that's absolutely acceptable.
So I'll get steak.
Steak is
And
always
then
good.
mild is the sauce or
mild is there's like a tomato salsa like pico. That's the mild. And
Okay.
then medium's more like I can't even describe medium. It's just an interesting flavor. The hot's just like a standard hot salsa.
what? I'll try medium.
Okay.
I'm feeling.
It's pretty good. It's like hard to describe though. There's corn if you want it. There's sour cream, cheese,
Definitely have guac.
and lettuce are the options.
I'll
So
have
sour
cheese
cream, cheese,
too.
and
That
lettuce.
sounds good. And then did you say sour cream?
Yeah, there is sour cream if you want it.
Yeah, let's go. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can talk about during a cast when nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So, now you
Well,
guys know what we're having for lunch. That's
the
exciting,
SG,
huh?
Yeah, SG, like, they understand, man. They know that there's not too much time between games. Us as casters, we got to get real-life stuff done sometimes. And now we're set for the day in terms of lunch.
Nice. I'm sure people are going to flame me for my choice. They're going to be like, how dare you take medium? Mild is so much better.
I mean, for me, it was one of those things where I worked at Chipotle for 2 years, so I had to I honed my order for a long time.
Oh, so you know everything. Oh, so you
I think the medium's good. It's just for me, like when I ate there, I had like a little bit of each salsa every time, meaning like I'd mix it up.
Okay.
But the mild overall was my favorite.
So maybe that's why you think the medium tastes weird, because you put both mild and spicy into it every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I have no idea what it tastes like in isolation.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, perfect timing. We're back in the game. So let's have a look. SG versus Torus, in case you just lost track of what was going on during that very exciting
If you're like us
food
in the
order.
middle of the game during a pause, you just forget who's playing the game.
It can definitely happen. There's a couple of things to actually catch up on that I think we didn't talk about. Chen went for a Midas. Did you say that?
Yeah, I saw it, but I did not mention it.
Okay, so that's very unusual. He's building toward a later stage in the game here, trying to scale with what looks to be Guardian Greaves coming up. Personally, I'm a big fan of Chen's rushing Aghanim Scepter. I think it's the best item the hero can get most games, but this time he's going to go for that the Greaves build-up for more teamfight sustainability for his allies. What else have we got? Radiance is almost done on Lifestealer. by some miracle, he's going to get this at minute 20.
I'd like to give a public service announcement for people out there, by the way, on Lifestealer, because Benjaz just did it, where you infest a creep, he invested in Ancient, and then controlled it, and then came out. You don't get the gold if you control the creep.
Oh.
So, like, I've seen a few people do it now. You don't get gold. So, like, if you're trying to, like, do, like, an efficiency play, do not control that creep, because, I mean, he just lost, like, 90 gold towards his Radiance.
That
obviously, it's not
honestly sounds like a bug. I cannot believe that.
It's been that way for the longest time.
That is so weird.
Yeah, it's something where, like, if you infest your team creep, you don't get health. I don't know if you know that.
I know that one.
Okay, and then if you take over the creep, you don't get. It's like treated as your own if you take it over. So you didn't, like, for a long time. I think it's only been like 2 years, but you've actually been allowed to control creeps.
True. When you start controlling it, you technically own the creeps as an ally, and therefore gives no bounty. It's just a weird interaction.
Yeah,
honestly.
top lane, they do get the roar off with the Kunkka boat, but not quite enough damage. They do have the fatal bonds, and that's only going to link up on the Skywrath mage as well as the axe, and he's just going to TP home.
Yeah,
that's
Witch
a golem
Doctor's
use.
dead, I think.
He's fine.
Oh, actually, okay.
I didn't actually think he was fine, but he's actually fine.
He's still fine. Okay.
That heal is doing a lot of work this game.
It is.
And I like the way Benjaz is playing. He's kind of just playing the opposite side of the map from his team, kind of like we talked about where Lifestealer should be playing alone. I think Benjaz also should be, and until he gets up to, like, that BKB, which he's going for the fighting item. And Axe gets, I think he got cleaved there.
Oh,
no, not again. No. That's Costa Bile's thoughts. D-Wick.
Friggin' 3 rug, man.
Yeah, 3 rug, man.
So that's such a stupid rug,
Oh,
so they have to pause.
They're talking. Are they saying something? Oh, they gave the dot. I don't know, because half of Radiant's muted for me. So I'm
that's
gonna
why they're muted. Stop cry and play Dota 50. It's not lag. What you want, play with 1 ping. Okay, they're starting to actually flame each other. That's very exciting. Get a little bit of spice.
I'm unmuting everybody for this game. I'm sure they'll earn it back in a pub. You know, like if I muted them once, it's not like a one-time occurrence.
Oh dear. Well,
everyone can relate, right? When you're in a pub and somebody in your game's ruining it, and you're just like, okay, time to check, and then you see that you have them pre-muted, and you're like, oh my god, he's done this to me before.
And then you want it. Then you're like curious and want to see what he's actually saying.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yep, made the right call in the first place.
Why did I mute this guy again? Usually get quickly reminded.
Yeah.
But they are infested in the Ancient Creep on Lifestealer, which is quite good against the Radiant lineup, to be frank.
So let's finish off on the infest thing. When I said I think it's a bug, after your explanation, I guess it's just working as intended, but people just don't know it. Because when you take it over and it becomes an ally, it loses its bounty. That actually makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
So let's close that chapter and say it's working as intended, and a lot of people just don't know, including me. So that was you learn something new every day, BSJ.
Yeah.
Promo code BSJ, everybody.
Yep. And it looks like they're making an interesting play where Beastmaster's like playing off map Shadowbladed around this Ancient Creep. So suddenly this Ancient Creep's actually pretty high threat because Lena, but the Beastmaster's didn't have Shadowblade cooldown up yet, so wasn't able to capitalize.
This Fireball creep is so nice. This is one of the nicest creeps for Lifestealer to infest because it doesn't feel like an efficiency loss.
Yeah.
You're still able to farm relatively quickly, so a lot of the time... Oh, actually we get a Roar on the Monkey King. Can they cut this tree somehow? Oh, they didn't have a way of cutting it. Costa Peel could have maybe jumped out and cut it with the Quelling, but didn't do it in time, and now the turnaround. Easy fight for the Radiant here. Gonna grab 2 quick kills on the Chen and the Beastmaster. BKB running on Adriano. He will connect this on Witch Doctor, so will be a trade-off of sorts here, 2 for 2, but considering...
Oh,
he missed it entirely, whiffed. Considering how that fight broke out, that looked like it was going to be great for Dire, but Radiant kind of salvaged it, and now they might actually be losing their Kunkka.
That is a Kunkka killing an Axe.
Oh, I thought he had Torrent ready.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what happened there in terms of why he didn't have it ready. But all these BKBs, like early on in the game, just making it really hard for both teams to actually do any damage to each other. The Kunkka went second item BKB, went drums BKB. And now he's infested in, I believe the technical term he used was Gary. Gary the Golem.
Gary the Golem?
Yeah, that's where he is in right now with the Lifestealer. So
Gary just doesn't have the same game as Drake, if you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying.
You gotta become Drake.
Game. Yeah.
Gary still got it though. He actually got all CS as Gary. Not bad.
That was pretty impressive. But
Slayden slowly but steadily dying here in the tree line. If only Gary knew.
Blind Torrent. 40R.
Oh, I actually thought he was casting while you said it.
Nope.
Interesting. Oh, they clean up another wave here, so it's going to Radiance this down. And
He does have to be careful just because you can actually, stun the Ancient Creeps.
Alright, Scarth chooses to show himself here. This could be a big fight. Warlock has Golem, and they're going to connect onto this bottom tier 2 tower. Vision is very limited for the Radiant side.
This is not where you want to play against a Beastmaster. Like,
Just
you don't want to play
up.
your own safe lane. Just let them have it. Yeah, if it's like one of those things where if you know they're somewhere else and the Beastmaster's like solo pressuring your tier 2, you can definitely make a play. But if they're all missing, that like with Beastmaster, the Hawk, they're almost always going to have wards there. It's just not worth it to try to defend this tier 2 for how much map control it actually offers.
The problem here for Torus is that they actually spent so much time running down here and then not doing anything.
Yes,
so
it's
there's no
this
trade-off.
degree of hesitation, right? Like they weren't sure they weren't going to defend it until it was already too late. That's something that I personally have tried to think about, where are we going to defend this tower and win? And it's like, if against this specific lineup of Dire, I look at it and say, we're going to defend this tower if they're showing somewhere else and it's just Beastmaster or just like Lifestealer. But if they're not showing anywhere else, I'm not even touching that tower. And that's something that you have to think about ahead of time, because then if you don't think about it ahead of time, you're doing exactly what you said they're doing, where you're like lingering, so then you're not actually doing anything else on the map, and they're not getting pressured on their own tier 2, which is below half. Like if they had been playing efficiently here, I believe this tier 2
They would have
top
traded here.
Yeah. And the Monkey King would have gotten that. Instead, like that's just an extra tower of efficiency lost. The Axe blink calls top and just gets out. But that's a big deal whenever Axe shows in creep waves, because that is their main source of threat.
Jazz is going to get jumped in mid. This is really bad timing. If there is some sort of follow-up, but there isn't. Actually, the Golem is way too... Oh, this is really disconnected from the Dire. Sloppy plays. Kunkka was not even close to being able to chain with that Roar. Nobody was, really. It just ends up being a complete waste of both Golem and Roar. These teams are... I think it's fair to say that they're just not playing their best right now. In this series, it's not been looking too impressive. I know SG can be much better than this.
I wholeheartedly agree that both teams are better. At least SG. I'm not saying Torus is bad. I just don't know much about them. But like both teams could be, they're just not playing the clean games that I'm sure they're capable of doing. If they might just walk in a Roche with a smoke. I prefer them get a kill first. It looks like Witch Doctor's trying to get a deep ward up, but ward's right on top of the sentry in the ward, so they ping it. They know it's there. There's Shadow Bladed on the Beastmaster. No Roar, though. The Torrent combo will be enough because of how squishy he is. Should buyback, in my opinion, for this fight on Warlock. Or sorry, on the Witch Doctor. Goes down on the Skywrath Mage to the Infest out of the Ancient Creep. X on to the Lina. Forced to use his Yules to defend from that, so now open wounds, but he goes invis. Does not manage to get that open wounds off. Did have a haste turn anyway.
This is another example of what we were talking about with SG, maybe just being the better team. Like they're actually unfavored in this situation.
Because they don't have ults and everything.
They don't have Roar, they don't have Golem, but they still just have the better warding and the better idea of what to do on the map.
They knew he was there because of that ward sentry,
Yeah.
and they saw him place the ward.
Yep. And now they're going to fake out the Roche and try to run toward mid. Very, very close to getting roared there was the Monkey
he gets
King.
stunned.
I caught him with the axes. Oh, missed the call. Hit something.
Torrent on boat to follow up. Use the Monkey King ult defensively.
Boy.
Oh my god, that damage.
Monkey has to BKB and fight this. He is going to get the Jingo proc off and will be able to stand his ground, but doesn't want to leave the ring. He's going to have to hit anything though with these Jingo stacks. That's 2 kills. The Lina stun will connect onto Costa Beal, but I think he's still affected by Ghost Ship. He is. That's why he doesn't die. Gets sent home. Big team fight win for the Dire. And that was without Golem. It's just they're just flat out playing better. So many whiffed spells or weird
You can't
situations.
miss calls like that.
That call miss is so big.
You just can't, because then you get roared and then you get boated. Like, if you get the Beastmaster there, he's going to die. Like, you have so much follow-up to the call. He has to hit it, even if it's just a single target. I don't want to, like, chop up one game to, like, one player, but all these fights, I feel like it's on the Zax to start them, and he's just not getting the initiation that he needs, whether he's not taking the decision like we saw in the bottom Meridian jungle, or he's just missing.
And it's strange to see, because I actually think he hit pretty much every single call in game 1. He did a really good job. I think he was largely the reason their team stayed in the game.
Yeah, he was like their one positive K to D running around the map.
And in this game, he even had a better start. So you were like, oh, this could be a problem. Dvato Loco's axe in game 1 was pretty solid. This time he has a fast Vanguard, Blink, Blade Mail, but just not hitting the buttons. And well, it doesn't matter what items you have if you don't use them correctly. It's not going to help you. You got to hit your spells. So
we usually don't talk about mechanics very much in Pro Dota because you kind of just assume, but sometimes people have off days, off games, and it looks like they're smoked up on the Dire, ready to make something happen. Again, they have all of their ultimates that are relevant for this fight. Beastmaster looking to find somebody in front
Oh,
with
this is
the
the
roar.
best possible pick if he gets Axe. Oh, he missed the Axes, but he still got the Roar off. Lifestealer will be able to pop
Golem
out,
onto
jump
3.
onto him here. Great Golem into Fatal Bonds. The Ghost Ship is flying through. I'm currently looking at Vado Loco getting munched up by Lifestealer. Gets to the Shrine, but will still die. Monkey King standing in the ring, but is losing the fight. Has to disengage. No, he canceled his TP. What was that? He actually
he
thought
had
he could
X.
stay and
He
fight.
got
Oh, he was
X.
X. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I thought he was still TPing in BKB, but used his entire BKB fighting, so he couldn't disengage there. Chen does get Skywrath ultied, but heals up, and will now be turning his attention towards Slayden. They're following him with the Hawk. Lina got out, but again, just another good fight for the Dire. This time around, way more excused. Axe that he just got jumped, you know, like he got caught in the back line. I think he didn't realize the Beastmaster was coming. The Axe is even missing, so he technically had time to react, but didn't see it. Was probably looking at the rest of the fight that he was about to enter. And the moment he gets roared, this fight just goes downhill. The Monkey King. The Monkey King seems largely ineffective right now because if Axe doesn't hit a call, there's nothing to keep them in the circle. Like, all of his rings have actually been decently placed, but SG, they just go
walk out.
They go ship and run out. And, you know, it really comes down to will you hit a call or not? If they get a call or a good Lina setup with Yules into Shadowblade into Yules and then follow through with the Monkey King on that, anything will do.
Of course, BKB.
BKB Adriano. Yeah, he's way too aggressive up here.
I mean, it's not good they did a BKB, but if that's worst case scenario, I guess it's okay.
Yeah, it's better than dying.
And they should still be able to like force objectives in the fight, even though he doesn't have that. He just has to be more careful.
Yep, they're gonna take this 2-2 and chill. This though they do.
Yeah, Lifesteal's quite strong right
To
now.
go.
Surprisingly going for the SMY against the Skywrath Mage.
Axe is walking in close. He calls absolutely nothing. He's gonna die again, or what?
Death.
Oh, nice Fatal Bonds. So much damage being dealt here. This could just be a full side of Rax. Benjas not a chance in this fight. And again, Axe just walks in, didn't get a blink call. He kind of just ends up calling the creep wave. I think he was expecting to get a blink call, but then got caught by the Radiance out of the Ancient creep, so he couldn't blink. And then he's stuck in this awkward position. Man, Tars are just really dropping the ball in a game that definitely could have been theirs from a good laning stage. Just nothing is connecting.
He had
In the
BKB on
meantime,
Lina, just didn't use it.
he got X marked.
manages to escape with Shadowblade.
Yeah, just barely. He's going to turn around and try to kill the Chen. Super low value kill, though. Axe buyback into death. And Leo Style will be getting away from this, but this is probably going to be 2 lanes of Racks. Top Racks are already down.
I mean, you
this
have a
is
Beastmaster.
Beastmaster. Lifestealer's Dominator Siege Creep from Chen. They're just going to keep going. And, well, that's tough, man. Torus
Has
You couldn't
buyback
really-
on Monkey King, but no BKB, so...
Yep. Taurus are struggling to hit spells. Meanwhile, the SG side are managing to hit Chen stomps out of Lina's Yules before she BKBs. Like, that's kind of the level of execution we're dealing with here. Just a difference in skill. Leo Style will be getting picked off by Beastmaster, so will the Skywrath Mage. That's all 5 down. All they've lost so far is the Chen. This kind of was a 10k gold fight for the Dire. And they're just going to keep balling down bottom.
No buybacks on anyone, so it's just
Megas.
Monkey King against the world. He's got this. 6 seconds on his ultimate.
The game just ended.
Oh man, you gotta go for it, dude.
Dude, this is a graph. You don't like seeing this gold graph. That's ugly, man.
How do you
That's
pull that up with hotkeys?
F6.
F6.
That's a game that's been close for a long time, and then one team just failed everything for a few minutes, and that's how it goes. Like, you gotta be on your toes. You gotta hit your spells, be ready for moves. And SG were first of all, they were playing faster. They were the ones initiating most moves. The Axe never really got to initiate fights. They took more initiative and they just executed better. Their spells actually landed correctly. They comboed. They made good mid-fight decisions about when to go, when to back. Played against Monkey King well. They're just better.
So, like, I kind of harped on the middle of the game. I didn't get to talk about it too much, though. But the way I look at Tier 1 players is I just use them as my examples because they do everything that you would hope to do in every situation.
Yeah.
Is that you can't process things as they're happening. You have to know what to expect ahead of time so that the second you see it, all it takes is you knowing what to do with it because you thought about it ahead of time. And I use that example in this game because in the early game, like 15 minutes and earlier, this Lifestealer was not a hero. Like, you just don't care, like, about his existence in the game because he does, like, 120 right-click damage and he's a rage. He doesn't actually threaten you. And so, like, if I'm looking at that on the map and I'm saying, if I'm an initiator, whoever I see that's not Lifestealer is just dead. Like, I'm going to blink on them. I don't care who's behind them. Even if we get Golem, they have no damage at the stage in the game. I'm just going to go on them, especially if it's the Beastmaster because he's their primary source of initiation. And I feel like Devada Loco, like, despite everything else, like, I feel like he just didn't process that, because what happened was he sees them, and then, like you said, he's scared. But if you really look at it from the game perspective, what is he scared of?
Yeah.
Like, what is he actually, like, if you had processed this ahead of time, there's nothing he's actually scared of other than maybe the Beastmaster, who is the guy that he sees to initiate onto. So it's one of those things where, like, I realize that if you're not thinking about a thing ahead of time, you're just going to, like, choke up in the middle of in a clutch situation. And sadly enough, you hate to pin it on one guy, like, mainly, but when you have one person that's responsible for starting every fight, and I feel like no fight was started for them.
Yeah.
That's what happened, right? You said it out-executed. Like, every single fight was just awkward. And even though, to be frank, SG kind of threw their abilities in randomly, like a few random golems that weren't really ideal, but they just have so much more to work with.
And they just, even the failed fights, if you will, were still better.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't do everything right, they did most
stuff
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's Dota. Less mistakes overall will win you the game.
Yeah.
And, I hate to say that like one team just messed up less, and that's why they won. But I mean, that was kind of
even
just
at the
game
highest level. That's also
it happens.
goes.
No, it absolutely happens at any level of Dota. So it's just one of those things where certain games, like, that's just what it boils down to. And if you don't get the fights you ever want, then you're just not going to win fights. And if you don't win fights, you're not going to win Dota.
So something that definitely can play a role, especially for these less experienced teams such as Torus, is when you get into these high importance matches where there's a lot on the line. Like, they know they can get to the finals by winning this game,
I think it's two more rounds still,
win a
right?
bracket final.
Because
Sorry,
they
could get to win a bracket final. Yeah. Like, when you get to these playoff games, a big part of the game is mental. Like, if you go into the series and you're like, oh, this is really dangerous, this is such an important game, we need to be careful not to make mistakes, we need to play solid and whatnot. Like, you still need to play the game. You play the game normally, and the best players in the best situations kind of. It's really hard to do, but in a way you can kind of like disconnect yourself from the situation you're actually in, how much it matters, and you just focus on playing Dota.
Yep.
And if you think too much about the external factors, like, oh, what if I mess up, or I'm not sure if we should go, this could go wrong.
You said giving them too much respect as well.
You just hesitate. I feel like X, in multiple moments in this game, either hesitated or it was like he was missing this balance. Sometimes he hesitated, and other times he was like too reckless.
Yeah.
And you just need to hit that normal sweet spot where, okay, what will we do in a calmer setting in a scrim? What will we do right now? Do that.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, you've scrimmed, you've practiced your stuff, and if you don't do it well enough, well, what's your other reference?
Yeah,
like, that's what you have to work with.
That's actually what I've been telling my team, because we're not expected to win, right? I'm just like, either what we're good at and what we do is going to be good enough to win us the game, or it's not.
Yeah.
So just like whatever you would do in a normal game, you have to try to emulate that as much as possible, because nerves absolutely get to these teams, especially teams that have like not qualified for huge events, and now you're like trying to qualify for TI. And like, I think it's one of the hardest hurdles. I've had that hurdle myself, and it's something that, it's just a constant struggle, because you're just like, at the end of the day, you have to trust yourself. You have to like say, I know this much about Dota, and it's gotten me this far. Just listen to it. Whatever that instinct, whatever the habits you have, you just got to listen to yourself and go for it. And
in this game, Torus definitely, compared to game one, they lost game one. This looked like a morale loss.
Yeah, it did.
More so than in game one. They were more disconnected, less structured in the movements. It just looked less deliberate what was happening. It was more chaotic. It's like they lost focus on playing the game normally. So that's what can happen, and that's why SG pulled out ahead in this one. We didn't like the life to the pick. Regardless, they just played better. Yep. So also one of the favorites, not really a big surprise that we get to see SG go to this winner bracket final, where we did see the brackets before. We didn't just get to talk about it. If we can bring them up again, I do believe they're playing against the winner of Pain and Thunder Predator.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And the loser of that matchup will, of course, be playing Torus in the lower bracket. So
what's up next for? Is it it's the Pain versus?
It's the Pain versus, I believe so.
Thunder Predator game. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that kind of wraps up this series for us, and there should be more SA action coming up just in a bit. And we do believe, unless we were mistaken, that it will be Thunder Predator against Pain. So if you're a big fan of SA Dota, and of course Pain, the biggest SA team currently in the international scene, you don't want to miss this one, so stay tuned.